Tony Robbins is a billionaire advisor who coaches hedge fund managers, elite athletes, and heads of state. But at 17, he was fleeing a violent home, working as a janitor for $40 a week, and surviving on a diet of saltine crackers. The question is how a person with zero resources and significant childhood trauma can engineer a trajectory like this. His solution was a three-part engine he calls state, story, and strategy. It begins with state. In a house defined by physical and verbal attacks, the body naturally collapses into a loop of fear and paralysis. Robbins found that by forcefully altering his movement and breathing, he could override that physiological stress and reclaim his ability to function. Mastering your physical state is the baseline required for survival. However, long-term success requires shifting more than just your energy. To see the next layer in action, you have to go back to a Thanksgiving when Robbins was 11. His family was broke, they had no food, and the holiday was becoming a flashpoint for intense arguments between his parents. A stranger knocked on the door and left a box of groceries and an uncooked turkey, an anonymous gift for a family in need. His father saw the charity as an indictment. To him, the turkey was proof that he had failed as a provider. He erupted in anger, slammed the door, and eventually abandoned the family. Robbins looked at the same box of food and chose a different interpretation. To him, it meant that even in a harsh world, strangers cared. This single shift in perspective turned a traumatic event into a lifelong mission. This is the second component, story. This is the internal narrative we use to interpret our lives. It acts as an invisible wall that either blocks progress or provides the justification for reaching a new level. Replace a victim narrative with one of capability, and you remove the psychological friction keeping you stuck. You unlock the power for relentless action. This leads to the final component, strategy. These are the specific tactics used to achieve a result. With his mindset aligned, an 18-year-old Robbins reached out to motivational speaker Jim Rohn. He didn't just attend the seminars, he hustled to become Rohn's top salesperson. He spent years refining his execution, taking control of rooms with only a few attendees, and gradually scaling his events until he was filling venues with 1,000 people. He added neuro-linguistic programming to his tactical toolkit, using it to rapidly rewire behavioral patterns and cure long-standing phobias in under 30 minutes. He used this tactical mastery to launch his own events and best-selling books, transitioning from an employee to the head of a global brand. Strategy is readily available in books and courses, but those tools are ineffective without the emotional drive provided by your state and your story. This system faced its ultimate test when a partner's betrayal left Robbins personally liable for a $125 million debt. Rather than retreating into a story of failure, he used his own framework to manage the stress and focus on the specific business maneuvers required to pay off the debt. He calls this the threshold of control. Real growth requires crossing significant pain barriers. To build an enterprise of this size, you must solve problems that would feel terminal to a smaller organization. Success happens when you are forced to solve problems that dwarf your previous capacity. This capacity for solving large problems is now at the center of his philanthropy, including his global Next Billion Meals Challenge. There is a deep irony in the journey from a boy whose family was saved by one donated turkey to a man coordinating the distribution of billions of meals. His life suggests that prosperity isn't about the absence of hardship. It is about mastering your internal state and story so you can deliberately choose the meaning of your own life.